Hey everybody, welcome back to the Matt Report. Got another podcasting tip video for you today. I didn't really mean to do two back-to-back podcasting videos, but in my last one on how to be a great podcast guest, it sort of dawned on me that there's this other tool that's it's a cornerstone to at least my podcasting, and I know many other podcasters out there. It's an app called Calendly, and this app allows somebody to book a time on my calendar on my availability. So it'll look at all of the meetings I already have lined up. I can set a particular zone of time that I only want people to book in for my podcast, which I believe is like Monday, Wednesday, Friday between maybe 10 and 2 p.m. Eastern is what my availability has for just podcasting. And then it also has one of my favorite features is you can actually buffer in between times. So if you need time to sort of decompress between meetings or especially podcasting, you can set it to say, hey, look, after somebody books at 1 o'clock, the next meeting can't be booked until 3 o'clock, but there needs to be a half-hour buffer in between my meetings. And I really like that with Calendly. And there's a whole range of solutions out there that can do this kind of thing, but Calendly has been the number one go-to app for me for sort of this automated way of scheduling meetings and podcasts and interviews and all this stuff. And I can actually sync it between a whole bunch of calendars. I use it for my podcast, of course. I use it for my agency stuff, and I use it for working at Pagely when I'm taking phone calls and meeting with customers. It's a great app. The caveat, though, there's always a but with all of this stuff. And the caveat for me, anyway, I like to be as personable as possible. And in a world of so much direct messages and Facebook messages, so much of a cold experience of digital transactions that happen, it seems a little off-putting to tell somebody, want to book a time with me? Here's this link. Or when somebody reaches out to me and they say, hey, I'd love to be a guest on your show, how can I do that? And I say, book a time through this link. It seems a little sort of cold or so digital, right? It's not something that's like, yeah, what's the best time that works for you? So presenting this in a way that says, hey, look, the best way for us to connect is this link right here. It's going to take into account your calendar and my calendar. So it's not just doing me a favor, but it's doing you a favor as well. It's going to look at you can look at your availability and my availability and sort of sync the two up, right? And that's just a little tip of just trying to keep things so, personable, a nice sort of high touch kind of way, because in this world of digital, it's very difficult to do that. I'm also bringing this up because as a guest, you should expect some of these steps to happen with a podcast, right? If you're joining a show, joining a program to be a guest, more than likely they're going to have a whole bunch of sort of automations in place or this workflow in place that leads you up to the show. And usually the first step in that is booking a time. And it's the most crucial, of course, so many time zones across the world, and syncing that up is paramount to getting things done. But second, you might get some automated things that happen along the way. You might get an automated message for the show notes that are coming up. You might get an automated message for other information around the show, like where to log into, Skype, Zoom, Google Hangouts, that kind of thing. You might get those follow-up messages that I mentioned in my last video about podcasting, where they're sending you information on how to share the show. Here are the links. Here's our Facebook page. Here's our Twitter handle, all that stuff. So as a guest, be prepared for a little bit of automated messages that come through, because the podcast host, I know myself personally, trying to do a whole bunch of things all at once. Getting these automated workflows down are awesome. And a little side note, if you're looking for ways to do that, check out a website called Zapier, Zapier. That's what I use to sort of automate and trigger all of these things. If you're a WordPress user, you can connect all this stuff right up to your favorite contact form, like Gravity Forms or a Ninja Forms. There's all these different add-ons that you can get to sort of trigger these automations, which is super helpful. And if you want me to talk about that in another episode, I can. Just let me know in the comments. It's mattreport.com, mattreport.com/subscribe to join the mailing list. It's the number one way to stay connected. I'll see you in the next video.